live the life beyond the boundaries we set on ourselves, to live and to run boundless, to be inspired, to achieve, to overcome the mountaintop in our life. Embrace the journey, become boundless.
So hello, family. Welcome to another episode of the Live Run Boundless show. I'm your host, Kenneth Pinkney. Today, guest is a woman who came, she saw, and she conquered the world of ultra trail running. The sport of running for her started more as a recreation thing to do, and then decided to embark in the ultra trail running world. And it had been a wrap since then. She'll make her mark and set records. And her most well-known records are the 2019 Squamish 50-50 first overall women course record with podium in each singular event, first, second, and third. That amazing as himself. Also, 2020, the Run Ridge Run, the first woman course record. So we're going to go with that a little bit also, and many other first place finish. So when she's not running, Jenny also a race director, the co-owner of a coaching company called Pacific Pine Running Company, and also she worked full-time as an occupational therapist. So she currently resides in British Columbia and recently got engaged, or I might say she said yes to the ring. So family, let's welcome the young living legend, Miss Jenny Quilty, also Jenny Q, to the Live Run Boundless show. So Jenny, how are you doing today?
Good, thank you. Thank you so much for that intro. That was really, really nice. Such a kind intro. I'm happy to be here and happy to be here to talk running.
Yes, definitely glad to have you on, you know. And so I watch your Instagram posts and stuff like that, and I come across your Instagram, come across a lot of my people, you know, as I try to promote my brand, trying to get started in this the running world. And so you definitely still got to me. I say, no, let me just reach out to her and see, see. Yes, I definitely appreciate it. You know,
well, you've had some impressive guests, so I'm happy to be amongst them.
It's just great gratitude for me, but definitely not by me, it's all by you right now. So, as a runner, as a trail runner, but what was life before Jenny Q, the runner, grew up in British Columbia?
Yeah, so I was always really active throughout my childhood. I played a lot of team sports. I think I've always kind of identified in some way as an athlete, maybe even as a runner. I remember, when running came up in elementary school and it's like, we're going to run one lap around the school. And I was like, I'm going to do two, or whatever the kind of challenge was. I kind of loved it right from the get-go. I think I was always drawn to it, but I always played sports. I grew up on a hobby farm, so I had horses and cows. So always active outside. And I think before kind of getting really competitive, I loved the idea of challenging myself with different things. And I've always been pretty goal oriented. That's something that really drives me. So for a long time, that was school. And after high school, I went on to university in Edmonton, Alberta, and then finished up. I did some more school at UBC and to become an occupational therapist. Okay. And then, through that time, I kind of did like the odd recreational race, and I played on some, again, team league sports, nothing at varsity, nothing that level. And then kind of was like, I think I like this running thing. And after my school goals were done, I kind of got drawn to the idea of running a little bit more, and it's kind of all, I guess, taken off from there.
Okay, nice, So did somebody like introduce you to running, or you just how did it take place,
So back, like way back, I guess now, in in high school, I always enjoyed the running events in
Yeah.
track. But I actually wasn't like, I was not a star on the track team. Like I just liked it, so I did it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really, pushed into any ideas of club or varsity. Like no one even
Okay.
like suggested that.
Okay.
And then later down the road, again, I had a friend who had an extra half marathon race bib, and I had worked with her, and she was like, you should do a half with me. And I kind of had ran some 10Ks just for fitness and stuff. And I was like,
Mhm.
I could probably do double that. So I've kind of been inspired by a couple different people along the way who have just invited me to do things.
Nice.
And then I've shown up and done it and went back for more.
Okay. You just catch a bug. You say, I think I like this. No, I think I could do this. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. And it's always been such a positive, even when things go wrong, there's like a positive experience, because especially when you start off with road or longer like trail events, there's somebody beside you who also has something going wrong. So, you kind of get drawn into this where it's more than running.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is more than running. Just it just is much bigger. Yeah. So you started on the road as a road runner, and then kind of turned to the trail running. So tell us the family about the transition and becoming an ultra trail running.
Yeah, so I did my first road marathon, my first and only, I guess, which maybe is a little bit of a heads up on what's happening. But I did my first and only road marathon, I think in 2010. Oh yeah, I think it was in 2010. And after that, I started doing a lot more trail races.
Oh, wow. So okay, so only just one road or run. That's all. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, then I started doing more trail races, and I did some of the local races in Vancouver, and I did shorter distances, like 5, 6, maybe 10Ks. So that's kind of how I started to dabble in trail. And once I learned that, we call this sport trail running, I was like, I've kind of been doing that. I already have ran some trails. So yeah, and then again, same thing. A friend and actually a local race director for Five Peaks was like, you always do the sport course, right? The shortest distance. Why don't you try the longer ones? And I thought she was just wild. I was like, no. And I was, I felt comfortable. I liked kind of running fast. So I felt, why would I go farther? And then over time, I think you see the pictures of people who get to go farther, or you realize once you do 6K, the other one's only 4 more. So I kind of slowly got like my interest peaked into that. And then again, when I finished school, I had all this kind of more free time. I got my first, Monday to Friday kind of 8:30 to 4:30 job. And I was like, what? And I lived somewhere where I didn't know anybody really. So I had I didn't really have much going on. Yeah. So then I started getting into ultras, and I signed up for my first ultra. It was roughly, a year ahead in advance that I signed up and set the goal of the 55K course. And then I really didn't know what I was doing. Like, thankfully I did get connected to some friends, and one of my friends, she helped me with a sample training plan of what she followed. And I would run for time, or I would just head out, basically I just ran. I'm pretty good, I would say, for not being like a high mileage runner. So I would just go out for like an hour after work every day, make sure I had run rest day, and just kind of went from there. And that was really the start of it.
Okay then. So you just started just running just for the fun, just really because you had a lot of time in your hand, and just like, okay, just go for run. And that before you just was competitive in your running, correct? Okay.
Yeah, my goal in my first ultra marathon was to be less than double the time of the first place finisher, who was Adam Campbell, like an amazing Canadian runner.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I finish in less than double his time, I'm doing okay.
Okay, that's great. So did you conquer that, or did you accomplish that goal?
I wouldn't say I conquered it, but I accomplished it.
Accomplished it. Yeah. That what I meant. Yes.
Yeah. I learned a lot in that first race. It's so funny looking back. Like, I think I took like 1 Cliff Bar and maybe like, 2, maybe a liter, I think, of water, but I didn't really touch either of them in an 8-hour day.
Oh, wow. So how do you feel during the race? You didn't really like feeling okay, like no issues, nothing like that?
I didn't have any cramping or anything, thankfully. Like it was a cooler day. It was up high in the mountains, so I was lucky that way. Had it been hot, I don't know what would have happened. But
I do remember my first trail marathon. And I mean, oh man, it started pretty cool, but like, again hot, and like it was awful. It was
yeah.
my first one. Yeah.
Yeah, like it was cold there where I had to wear a jacket and stuff, and there was like wind. I think they actually ended up um a little bit after me, they ended up having to like turn people around early on part of the course because it was too windy and dangerous up in some of the alpine. But yeah, so it was cold, so I was lucky. But I mean, I was so happy after that I didn't even really know how much better probably it could have felt if I had fueled properly.
I know, but lesson learned. I believe you have learned your lesson since then.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I love that story. Since that first one, that when that your competitive juices start kicking in, and you really set your mark and compete in, and winning.
It started to I think it started to trickle in slowly. Like I still tried to, I think for the next couple of races, I went for my first 50K. I did another one, I think 4 months later, and then I did a 50 miler pretty close after that. But I kind of actually, that second 50K, I think I did relatively well. And then it kind of, I saw that it maybe was possible. I still had mostly goals just to complete them, but then in some shorter distance races, I was placing. So I kind of saw that natural, transition where it's like, well, if I can do it there, maybe if I train right, fuel right, all those things, maybe it could happen in these other events as well.
Maybe, so that's good. Also, well, that I mean, you're not only a competitor running, well, you're also a community leader, So I like to talk about running, but also I like to talk a lot of stuff kind of outside running also. So what prompted you to being involved in a community, to be a community leader?
Yeah, I think that maybe comes from, again, that way that I was always invited out, and I always felt, such a positive connection to the community that I want that for everybody else. I mean, anybody who wants to be part of, the trail running community in any level, any way, or any, even level of commitment should have that opportunity. And I think there's just such a, so many different beautiful elements to the sport.
Yes.
Whether it's the athletic performance, the community and the human connection, or even just the appreciation of nature. Like, I just feel like there's so much within trail running that different people relate to. And I think I've always just felt like running sometimes can feel like a very personal activity. I'll truly never call it selfish, even though some people will debate that. I don't think it's a selfish activity in any way. And that's my perspective on it. But I think sometimes it can feel like something we in a way do for ourselves. And so for me, being connected to the community or trying to do things for the community is like a way of giving back for what it's given me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what way that you had given back? What some ways what we have to give back to the community?
So I guess it's kind of like, again, it always changes, and it's always changing.
Okay.
But it's been nice. Like I've done some, actually years ago I was writing about this, or thinking about this today. I did a youth clinic, so to bring kids 16 and under out to the trails for 6 weeks, and that was such a fun experience. They experience the trails in ways that they jump off things late found and have different experiences than we might. And I also host some women's only groups. And then starting the coaching company in our first year, we did what we called adventure days. So they were free events for anybody to attend, where we basically did free group runs at some cool different locations. So things like that. And then any of our races too, like doing the races really gives the opportunity to give back in a different way, like more of a financial way even. So we can contribute to local trail development groups like the mountain bike associations that build our trails, or other, even other community groups. Like for our camp that's coming up, we're donating to Water First, which looks at water in Indigenous communities in Canada. So just ways to have a broader reach, right, to give back for these spaces that we get to use.
Okay, and so they're all in British Columbia, correct?
Yeah. Everything I've done has been in BC.
Oh, okay, then that's awesome. So you said British Columbia, you got some good lots of trails. I know it's a beautiful place, Yeah.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. We're really fortunate to have the trail networks that we do. We have living in the Fraser Valley, essentially, right? A valley surrounded by mountains. So we have these steep mountains, basically on all sides.
Okay, and then nice, that would be a nice trip to take, I'd be really strong with you.
Yeah, if you come on up, I've offered this to so many people. I'm like, I'll be your tour guide. Come on up.
It's not a lot like that, I got to take you up on that. And again, back, to your one of your probably your best races probably you have done, I might say, uh, being the overall 2019 winner of the Squamish 50/50. They ever enter your mind that you've been an overall winner, not just women, but overall of an ultra trail race? They ever crossed your mind? They ever dream about it, I might say?
Nope. That could be the short answer, but yeah, truly, I went into that race, with goals for my own times. I wanted to challenge the women's course record that was previously held by Caitlin Gerben, again, a phenomenal runner.
Yes.
So I knew that would be like, it's from a couple of years ago. So I knew, she's definitely just continued to grow in amazing ways since then.
Yes.
But I had time-based goals, and I really didn't think about anybody else. Like I went into that race actually, again, we'll probably get into some of the challenges or things, that I think about with running personally, but I actually went into it with more of the mentality of, I may not win by challenging this course record. Like some women may show up and outperform me. I didn't even think about the men. They weren't even in my mind. That wasn't even part of the, like you said, not even a dream. I actually had more like, not nightmares, but I had more like worry dreams, we'll call them, leading up to the race, of all the things that could go wrong, or some, just weird things that we dream about prior to things we care about. But I thought a lot more about the fact that I was running my own race based on these time goals, and that may or may not mean I'm competing with others. I wasn't sure.
Okay. That's also, man, so were you feeling just during the race, after the race, when you feel like great, feel like, I could do this, I mean, what's your mindset during the race and after?
I think so. Day one was keep it cool.
Okay.
Like, don't get too excited. Don't try to compete. So again, I've talked to my friends about this after, as I had no idea how I was doing, and that maybe was in the case where it was all going well. I think that was really good for me, because I think had I known that I was not only, coming in, I was in the very top of the 50/50 racers, men and women, throughout the race, but also that I was doing well against the 50-mile women, I might have actually slowed down. I might have thought I was overdoing it.
Wow.
Right. And I think that was a good thing for me. In my mind, I was just thinking, run this, but make sure if you're running it today with a hill, for example, that you think you could run it again tomorrow. Okay. So don't hammer the hills, right? Don't hammer the downhills, but find that 50, the first day is 50 miles, right? So a 50-mile kind of race effort, but not you're all out. So I knew I had to have like one or two more gears that I stayed below, so that the 50K the next day would, provide that kind of opportunity to race or to succeed. And then in finishing day one, I was actually 10 minutes faster than I had planned to be, and 20 minutes ahead of course record. So I kind of felt like I have a buffer, and the rest of the day was just about eating enough, recovering, and again, chilling, not getting in my head, not getting, outside of it, just kind of living in the moment of that day and focusing on day two. Trying to have the brain space to organize my gear again, which I did a lot in advance. So that was helpful. And then, day two was a lot of, again, play it cool, because, on trail, one fall could pull you from the race, right? If you have a bad enough one, or not fueling, could make that last half take 2 hours longer than you think it might, right? So 20 minutes is a great wriggle room, but it's not a ton. So I just kind of kept, again, play it cool, run your own race. And I again had no idea where I was at until roughly the last 10K, and people there told me, and I was like, okay, I guess it's like time to finish this thing off. But again, there's one great descent prior to the finish line, and that was another one where it was like, don't like, you're on tired legs, don't mess this up. So keep it cool. And I remember actually in the final about 4K, you're on a flat road stretch and you're kind of getting back into town. And I was running that. And I just remember this, I was obviously peeking over my shoulder a sufficient amount, because again, I had no idea where other people were. And a biker came by me and he's like, there's no one there, don't worry. And I'm so grateful for him, because I stopped looking over my shoulder.
You felt okay, I really could calm down now. I could really
and just run.
Nobody else.
Yeah, I find it's funny. I don't love the feeling of chasing people, but I actually don't really know where I like to be, because I also don't like being chased. So I have to figure that one out still.
I know, because we feel like somebody, I got to work both ways. If somebody chasing somebody, tell you really like your heart. I know. All right, you got to run to catch up with somebody, or somebody chasing coming behind you. You feel like you got to keep in front of them. You got to keep in front of them. You know. Even if I feel the same way, even did I just be running during the week, you know, run on my crew, on my crew, you know, I shout out to 5150 early morning crew, you know. I feel like, well, got somebody behind me, okay, I gotta keep up, you know, I gotta keep at the pace, so they want to, like, you know, come from behind me. Well, eventually did you do, you know.
That's the thing, there's only so long that you want to hold that off for, right? Like it's almost interesting to see the psychology of who's chasing who.
Yeah, I know. You know, spend time trying to catch up with somebody else, you know. But like I said, you got to run your own race, you know, stay in your own lane, you know, and just know, not to worry about anybody else. Yeah, this is definitely, but easy to say, but hard to do sometimes.
Yeah, especially through these like 8-hour events, right? It's so hard to keep checking back in with that.
Yeah, no, so that's great, very, very wise, you know, very, very smart. Yeah, go like that. And also, you recently, you know, now something else big happened for you. A lot of things, accomplished a lot of stuff during your running career. You had the experience of being selected at the front cover of the 2020 Canadian Running Magazine Trail Edition. So take us to that process. You know, did you expect it? Was it like a surprise? You know, what were your feelings?
Yeah, it was a surprise. I was basically I was approached through email at the time, you know, early I guess prior to the magazine obviously coming out, a couple months before, saying, hey, if you want to do this, you've been selected. And I was like, yes, that's amazing. Of course I want to, right? I don't know if anybody says no. So that was really special. That was, again, something that I hadn't really dreamt of, thought of. And again, it's really, to me, really meaningful, because I felt like it's putting your face on the cover of the magazine for the trail edition, which again is representing such a huge community. And to be selected to do that was really, truly an honor. There's so many runners in this community I look up to, and that are, you know, amazing athletes and people. And so to be kind of, again, selected among them was really, really special.
That's great. And I guess it was about just the work you put in to get at that point, and you like that place in your life, you know. And, you know, so yes, so definitely, you know, just much respect to you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. And with that, you know, you're ultra trail racer or runner, I might say. You know, you're owner of a store, race director. Now got a full-time job. How do you handle the responsibility that you're doing all of that? Also, you're soon to be white. That's a lot on your plate.
Yeah, some days I call it a platter. I guess the thing, like, for me, is I feel really, really fortunate that I get to do a lot of things that I care about. And that's kind of how I invest or divide my time. Like, obviously every job, you know, even things we like the most, even running, right, has days where you don't love it fully.
No, I know, yeah.
Or there's days where you I call them the I don't wannas with anything.
Yeah.
And I think for me, the way I handle that is just allowing myself maybe to be human throughout that process. Like, I have some weeks, even with work. So I work, as an OT, and there's some days where I'm like impressed by how productive I am, and other days where I'm like, whoa, that wasn't a great day. So just kind of going with those ebbs and flows of things, and trying to remain, I guess, aware of my expectations for myself. And then I'm very fortunate too. I work with, a great team in most of the other areas. So with Pacific Pine in my coaching business, I have a co-owner. Her name's Katrina, and she just like, we're such compatible co-workers or co-owners in that way that we really share duties, and we're really, again, human about checking in with, if you can't do this, I will, and it goes back and forth. She's welcoming a new family member soon, having a baby. So again, there's lots of kind of give and take with that. And the same thing within my partnership with my fiance. Like we're very he knows he's well tuned into like my priorities and what those look like. I've done zero wedding planning, so I guess that shares like, we have our hobbies and our interests, and he does as well, and we just have a deep respect for that. And I mean, some days that means that we're flying in and out the door at different times, or I'm asleep 3 hours before he would even think about going to bed. And so it's always kind of a give and take. And I think when I'm doing stuff that I love, it or most of the time feel joy towards, it's like there's nothing I want to give up, right? So I think that kind of keeps it going on those tough days of being like, well, would you rather not be doing this? And the answer is usually no.
That's great. Just I guess just learning, just I'm not learning, but just really understand gonna be tough days, but some day you enjoy, and I get to come to also have your why you doing it, and just what you get out of it, also, so definitely, and just have that support, it's so great to have a support, with your fiance, with with your friend, you do pursue business with whoever, so great, and so just help each other out, Awesome. Also, nutrition play a part of all that you do also. So I read your bio, your Instagram, you're a plant-based eater, and that's a goal my wife and myself had at the beginning of the year, eating less meat, ongoing. I mean, well, we do a lot of egg and cheese, all that, and then we're not plant-based, but trying to lean on to meat, So what is your nutrition like, and how have being a plant eater helped you to maintain a healthy lifestyle?
It's so I eat, like, I am plant-based, I guess vegan, technically by definition, essentially. And that's something that I became vegan, I think, I can't even remember, 2 or 3 years ago. Probably 3, because I'm guessing I've just forgotten like a year in there somewhere with 2020. But so a couple of years, and it was partially based on what I felt like for me personally was a healthy choice. I found that when I stopped eating meat, I didn't miss it, and I didn't, I only felt better. So for me, from a personal health perspective, that choice just made sense. And I did, again, reading, like, there's lots of different evidence out there, right? And often evidence in what to eat or not eat depends on who has funded the research. So I'm definitely not somebody who will, stand too much on a soapbox and be like, you must eat this way, or you should not, eat. I really do try and maintain, alongside healthy eating, I also try and maintain a really balanced approach with eating as an ultra runner. And especially, for anybody who's doing consistent training, it's so important to, I think, more so establish like a healthy relationship with food.
Yes.
The looks I get when I tell people that I eat sometimes like a 3,000 calorie diet, or I try to, they're like, that's a ton. I'm like, like, it's another full-time job to just try and eat enough some days, but it's a really great one. So I think that, again, like, it's important to be able to eat what's available to you, what's within your goals for how much time you want to spend prepping your food. Like, my hobbies really are like my different activities, and food prep. Like, and gardening. Like, I love being involved in trying new recipes and finding recipes that I really like. So, I think it's kind of contributed just to the way that I think about caring for my body and taking care of my body, right, for what I'm asking for from it, essentially.
So do you feel stronger, feel different the past couple of years than before you becoming a plant eater?
I think, yeah, I think I feel personally that I recover really well. I'm knock on wood talking today. I'm injury free and have been for the last handful of years. There's probably a lot of like genetic variability to that too, right? It's always we're all a study of one in some ways, but yeah, I think it's like I have good energy, which again, most people are, you know, when you look at what you do in a day and the miles and stuff, some people
Yeah.
look for that. Yeah, I absolutely use iron supplements to make sure that I'm, you know, at ideal levels, and some other multivitamins. But I think I would take those honestly regardless, unless I was eating a lot of meat, which again I probably wouldn't be. But yeah, it's definitely something that I've always felt since making that change. I've always felt really good, and I've always kind of had the attitude of, you know, there's I think lots of other reasons I remain vegan, but I've always said if it didn't feel right, you know, if I was tired, depleted, if my blood work was showing that I needed something else, then that would actually be a, you know, a good reason to have a different approach.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, it feels right, and it seems to be working well.
That's great. You know, if it worked well, hey, you know, definitely, you know, you don't miss meat. Hey,
No.
definitely. Now, hopefully, like maybe I get there one day, maybe.
Yeah.
Wife and myself both.
I'm always happy to share recipes. I find it's almost, now that I've been vegan, and especially through COVID with not going out to eat, like I forget that not everyone is. Like I'm like, oh, don't you just use a cashew cheese sauce? And people like what?
Yeah, so I know one of my favorite non-meat dish to cook is lentil burger. And I've done that a few times before, and I posted Instagram, you know, my lentil burger, you know. I put egg in it, you know, but other than that, you know, it's meatless, you know, burger, you know. And I really like that, you know. So I can do this, you know. Yeah, so what is your favorite dish to cook or eat? You know?
Oh, that's such a, yeah, some of my favorite dishes. I actually really like some of the vegan burgers as well. We have this, so my favorite cookbook right now is the Oh She Glows for Dinner. Oh She Glows, she's a Canadian author. This is her third cookbook, I think, but the Oh She Glows for Dinner has like really quick kind of easier meals. So she has this bruschetta burger in it that has sun-dried tomatoes and lentils, and you kind of food process it together, and it's just, it's so like so tasteful, and yeah, so much flavor within it. So that is definitely a go-to. We usually have that probably every other week in our house. And Matt and I, we always do a big Sunday meal prep. So, you know, by 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. Sunday, we're in the kitchen working together or doing separate meals, and just having like 3 or 4 things kind of ready for the week. So yeah, definitely the bruschetta burgers. And then we also eat a lot, like my favorite quick meal that anybody could do with or without a recipe, I think, is just like a homemade burrito. So we have like black beans, you know, we make, again, I use a sour cream that's cashew based. So you have to have a nice blender, but it's great and relatively simple. And then like just veggies, rice in a wrap, and like, again, homemade burritos, those I can eat all week.
Yeah, so to me and my wife, we got to try that. You know, we love burritos, and when they San Diego, California, home burritos, you know, nacho taco roll. So I'm not messing up, you know. But yeah, but I stick with burritos, you know. So definitely I got to try that non-meat burrito out, you know, the healthy non-meat. I mean, you can get non-meat burrito, but no, it's still healthy, you know. So
yeah, so when you take out the cheese, and it's so funny again, because I just don't even realize that people might think it's missing. Like I kind of forget that it's different because I'm so used to it now. But yeah, when you have the black beans and you just put in all the same spices, and it's amazing how good things can be.
Yeah, I know, but that's cool. Yeah, so definitely I gotta try that. You know, I gotta get some recipes. And that's one of, you know, it kind of like gets looking to the hard questions now. What has been one hill or obstacle that you had to climb and get over, you know, not just to running, but in your life, or to get you that mountaintop, or to say what keep you going or moving forward in life when things get hard?
Yeah, I think I'm warmed up, ready for the tough questions. I think that's such a good question. I don't have like one, you know, specific like obstacle, like something that has happened that created to like this change. But I think something when I was kind of reflecting, on this type of question before, was just the idea of like, being more self-assured or maybe self-confident in how in things in general, but also in running for sure, just the things that I want to do or care to do.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to, like, to being anybody in sport, but also being like a woman in sport in my early 30s,
Yeah.
it's, often it's this thing that we think is like this recreational pursuit, and like, oh, you'll do that for a couple of years, or oh, that's kind of fun on the side of your other things.
Mm-hmm.
And though in some ways it's on the side of my other things, it is my thing. When people ask what you do, I'm almost more keen to respond with, I trail run, than telling them what I do for work, or when I think about what the things that light me up the most and that I want to invest a lot of time and energy into, it's this. And I think that doesn't mean that, obviously it doesn't pay anything. It doesn't do that role, but at the same, I think it, for me, a hurdle I had to maybe, and I think I continue to ebb and flow with, or I kind of move with, is this idea that it's okay to have these types of passions and to care about things that maybe are a little bit different than what's called societal norms or expectations of people in different ways. And that's when I think that, again, when you ask the question about if I even imagined ever winning Squamish overall, it's like, no, because I've never seen it done. Right. And so there's this part too of seeing trail running become a bigger sport, and people and different people doing different things, that element of maybe not letting myself be limited by what I see others do, and thinking that should impact how I do, and just trying to always push that aside and think more from like a blank slate of like, what do I want to do, and knowing that that's valuable and meaningful and productive in every way. And it's something that is okay to focus on, early, mid, late 30s, any age of life, if it's something that you care about, and not having to really, I sound like maybe I'm trying to justify it, but without having to try to justify it to others, like just truly knowing that for yourself.
Definitely. It's okay to stand out, maybe different, or just have a passion for something that maybe not the norm, wherever, yes, I mean, you do have like a full-time job also, but you have a passion of running, and being okay with that, that who I am also, and I'm a runner. I'm a trail runner.
Yeah.
So definitely, I like that,
Yeah.
It is definitely, it's a mindset, it's easy, to be in the norm, so it's definitely making hard to stand out. So sometimes.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, like, again, when things are going well and we see it as such like a positive, and then there's like the celebration, and I think that again just comes back to like anybody who wants to be in it at any level deserves to have that kind of confidence in their path or their journey. And I had somebody actually say to me the other week, like, oh, you're an anomaly. And I kind of, again, I feel like we're so, I'm so embedded in the community that I was kind of like, not really. But then, you think of general public and population, and it's like to have something that you can do that you love, and a passion towards it is such a unique thing, really overall, statistically, probably. I'm going like, oh, yeah, I guess it is a bit different. And what does that, what does that really mean, and all that?
Okay, that's good. So your biggest obstacle is to, one of your major obstacles is to just to get over what people think, or I might say that, is that correct? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I guess just to not be limited by that, like
limited. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, then not be limited what do people may say, think. Okay. That's great. Could be a limit, could hold us back from being who we really are, Yeah, so that who we could be, be dare to dream.
Yes, exactly. That is a perfect way to summarize that. Dare to dream and make your dreams your own.
Absolutely. And so the opposite of that, what have been your greatest joy since your life as an ultra trail runner?
Yeah. Oh, that just like I feel like a million pictures just come to mind, and I'm like, everything. I'm pretty enthusiastic, obviously, about it, but
that's awesome.
I think I have like this kind of tie. I think it's half the people I've met and connected with through this journey. Some of they say an hour on the trails with somebody is like a year of friendship. And I really think that's true. I'm actually, I call myself an outgoing introvert. I'm quite outgoing, but I truly am introverted with like a few close friends. And those friends are usually people I've ran with on the trails the most, and just develop some really like deep connections that way. So that has been a huge joy through trail running. And then just also on the other side of that, the places that it's taken me, I feel so grateful for the experiences I've had. It's like just with, even if I'm by myself, just out in nature, some of the places that I've been have just, even backyard trails, like I'm constantly floored by the beauty I get to see and experience by moving through the forest.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree with that. Like the community, the family trail runners are nothing like it. It just but like I experienced that the past few years. It just the connection that we have. The relationship we have built under the trail running community. I can see the different hats I have behind me. From sending a shout out with the shirt I had on. Not only from the Usher Buds to the YMCA South Bay Trail Runners, the Run Dirty, and just and many others, the San Diego Trail Runners. So I give them a shout out now. And so I guess all those connected. We do got a little group here or there, but all those are connected. This is definitely.
Yeah, and I think it's like if I ever, but when travel hopefully gets to come back. Like the neat thing is when you can travel and connect with a local run club, right? Or get roots from somebody and just kind of seeing the broader connections that way.
Definitely. So awesome. And last question. Of course, you see my interview, I add this question to from everybody. So what is your boundless motivation and thoughts in a few words?
I feel like you said it better before already with Dare to Dream. Like, I want that one.
Okay, I have the question for you already.
Yeah, I think so. I'll just quote you. No, I think it is that idea of don't let others or even your own perceptions set limits upon yourself. Just truly let yourself be limitless.
Okay.
That's
great. That's simple but very powerful. Just like don't let people set limit yourself. Just like being boundless. So. Don't set boundaries yourself. Now, but boundaries is good for some things, but other things, definitely don't put boundaries in what you could do.
Yeah. I think just let those things happen, or let yourself go through the journey without judgment, right? Without without basically stopping yourself short, maybe sometimes.
Definitely. So thank you for that. That was great. Well, before I let you go, any last word you want to leave to Live Run Bound family, or how people could follow you and get in contact with you?
Oh, sure. Thank you. Yeah. So I have a couple different channels, of course. So my personal Instagram is Adventures of Genthar. That's a whole other story we didn't get into today, but it's just a random nickname, I guess. Adventures of Jen and then THAR. And then I also have my Pacific Pine Running Co. account, and the race series I direct is Fraser Valley Trail Races. So, and we do actually have a summer camp. It's a virtual summer camp that is great for all levels. It includes a virtual race coming up starting next week, actually May 14th, and will be 6 weeks long. So if anybody's looking, I don't know when this actually will go up, but if anybody's looking for a virtual event, we'll be doing that. And then through there, I think the Pacific Pine Running Co. website also has like an email spot. If you ever want to reach out or coming to the area and have questions, feel free to send us an email.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. Again, thank you, Jenny Q, for joining me at the Live Run Balance family today. Also, thank you, Live Run Balance family, for joining me for another episode of the Live Run Balance show. Live a life beyond the boundaries that you set on yourself. And Jenny Q proven that she has lived a life beyond her boundaries, with her races and, setting record after record, and probably continue to set more records. So we will stay tuned and find out and see. And until next time, family, now we'll see you later.